Okay, part two. Awesome. Let me just get comfy. Anyway, this is part two of my testimony. As I was saying before, yeah, I got heavily involved with witchcraft and I was into Wicca. And at the same time, my parents split up. My mum was actually going to church. Funny that. She doesn't go anymore though. But God had his reasons for her to go in, because I got to go in too. I got going as well. A few weeks later, I think. And I was working at KFC at the time as well. And I actually had a few friends that were Christians, and they took me to church too. So anyway, here I was doing witchcraft in the New Age movement, trying to find God. I went to church because, you know, anywhere to find God, I was there. But I didn't know that Jesus was the only way. I did not know that, you know. I thought that you could come to God any old way. I seriously did, and I was very brainwashed about that. I got brainwashed. I seriously, I was gullible. I was so gullible that I thought, yeah, God will accept me as a sinner. Like, in a different context, I mean. But God will accept me if I don't come through Jesus. And no, it was such a lie. I believed such a lie. While I was in witchcraft, while I was doing Wicca, I gave my life to the gods and goddesses. In other words, the demons. Basically, I gave my life up to them, and when I did this, you know, after that, I suffered from so many panic attacks that it was not funny, because I was going to church at the same time, and I was doing what I was doing, you know, and I know now that it was actually a spiritual warfare more than panic attacks. Mind you, I was actually under a lot of stress too, so it was a bit of both stress, but mainly there were a lot of spiritual attacks upon me. Okay, it wasn't until one day that my friend Jackie, a new friend I met at horse studies, like when I was about 15 or 16, we were driving along one day, and she's a Christian, and you know, I wasn't really saved back then. I still was going to church, still, you know, as I said before, and we were talking, and she kind of asked me a question which kind of shook my world, and we were just talking about heaven and hell, and I'm like, there's no such thing as hell, and she's like, yeah, there is, mate, and I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, and then she just kind of got talking still, and she's like, oh, I know where I'm going to go when I go to, when I die, I'm going to go to heaven. And then she goes to me, do you know where you're going to go? And I'm like, that's exactly what I was like. I was like, I don't know. And that, I just heard this voice going, you're ignorant, you are ignorant. And I'm like, did that come from? And I'm like, no, hang on. Yeah, I am ignorant. I have no idea where I'm going to go when I die. And I was scared. I was absolutely scared. It wasn't until a couple of months later that I was going to church with my friends from KFC still, and they didn't go one day. And thing is, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to church, and I'm gonna go by myself. So I ended up going to church by myself, and something happened while I was there. While I was there, it was like I was like almost hypnotized or something, but I saw this bright, warm, yellow, whitish light in front of me. It came over my eyes, and just something flipped off my eyes, and I'm like, whoa, what am I doing? I need Jesus. I remember this feeling, because I also had the feelings that I had in primary school of acceptance and love and warmth. And I'm like, I need Jesus. I need to give up my witchcraft and that. You know what? As soon as that happened, I gave up my witchcraft. And I gave up Wicca, and you know what? Panic attacks, they didn't really go away, but They have gone now. They have definitely gone away. They have gone away since I've accepted Christ. But I think it was like a month later, I hadn't accepted Jesus very well, and I think we got called up. If anyone wanted to accept Jesus, come up to the front and we'll pray for you. I didn't know what I was doing. I just ended up just walking over there, and I got prayed for, and I got saved, that day. And as soon as I got prayed for, I could feel the Holy Spirit come over me, and He smashed me to pieces. He smashed me to 1,000 pieces. And tell you what, I was confused. I thought I was meant to feel different, but man, God broke me so He could build me. He could build me up into the person I am today. Man, it was like a whirlwind after that. I can't explain the phenomena, but it just happened. I had accepted Jesus, and it wasn't until God worked for about 5 years. He never gave up. He never forsook me, and He never left me. He says He'll never leave you or forsake you. He never did. He worked on me for 5 years to get me out of the New Age movement and just tell me that don't stop believing in lies, Alicia. Stop believing in this and that. Just like the military, how they break you down, they build you up, and they, along the way they'll tell you what you should be doing. Exactly like that. He was a good father. And you know what? There were the times where I rebelled against him, but I was always like, oh, hang on, I should be doing what I'm being told to do. It took him 5 years for me to fully accept the fact that the New Age movement was not right. It took me a while, and God was patient enough and kind enough and merciful enough to put up with that. It's interesting, and it's not until the past 3 years, or even though actually 2 years now, that man, I can actually see a whole heap of fruits, within me. And not only have I physically changed, like literally physically changed into the person that God's molded me to be. I'm so glad I hadn't looked like this in the past. Would have abused so many morals, and I wouldn't have had any morals whatsoever. I would never have had that. But not just physically, but inwardly, I'd changed for the best. Look, guys, God is mighty to save. That's my testimony. And guys, if you've delved into the New Age movement, or you're delving into it, or you are there, God will be merciful to you, and He's mighty to save. He'll let you know what's right and wrong, I should say, and He'll tell you the truth. You just got to listen to Him and trust Him. Trust yourself that you do trust Him. You're up and you're growing. I'm still, growing, and I want to still grow because God's shown me a whole heap of other things that He wants. He wants to mold me like His Son, like into His Son almost, like, but as an individual, but Christ-like. He wants me to be Christ-like, and man, I can see that happening. I'm like, whoa, I'm not getting as angry anymore these days, or I'm not worried I've got heaps of joy, heaps more peace. And whenever I get a panic attack, I know it's kind of a spiritual attack, but I'm going through a stage where my parents are actually divorced at the moment, so I've got to trust myself to go to God with my stresses and not bottle it in. And that's what God's showing me right now. And tell you what, God is merciful and great, guys. God is like, I was going to say graceful at the same time. It's great, yeah, I know. But look, He's all of those things and more. Jesus is all you need, and Jesus, man, He's forgiven me. He's wiped the slate clean of what I was once, and molded and shaped me into the person of who I am now. He's mighty to save. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll be doing another video soon. See ya.